सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय, महायोगी स्वामी उमानंद सरस्वती की जय. Friends, at MIT World Parliament 2018, in the evening at Alandi, I had the opportunity of presenting one more paper where the topic was the need to transform the Pilgrim centers into divine knowledge centers based on the concept of God as stated in Dnyaneshwara's Pasayadan Vishwatmake Devi. So, firstly, I thought we will define what Gnandev's approach to this would have been. We will try to understand what was Gnandev's approach to this topic, what could have been his approach to the topic. So, basically, did he like the concept of pilgrim centers? The two most important pilgrim centers for him today, for his Varkari Sampradaya, which was born out of his love for pilgrim centers, is Alandi and Pandharpur. Yes, Gnandev supported the concept of going for pilgrims, pilgrimages, holy places, a Tirtha Kshetra we call it. And the most maximum, the proof that we have is today we have Varkari Sampradaya. More than 13 lakh people visit Pandharpur on regular basis. The number is growing now, growing day by day. And that is also stated in Ata Vishwatmake Devi, where he requests all the saintly world to keep moving from one place to the other so that they can meet common man and pass on some good values and also fulfill their desires. So Gnandev did the same, and he revered the concept of going for pilgrimages, and this gave birth to a school of thought which is called Varkari Sampradaya today. The second thing is, did he contribute? Did he have the agenda of educating this Varkari Sampradaya? Yes, he has contributed to 4 major texts, Dnyaneshwari, Amrutanubhav, Sangdev Pasashti and Haripat. He has given it to these, the Varkari Sampradaya, like the basic texts of a school of thought. And this one should be able to notice that people, when they go to Alandi, there are Varkaris who sit there and regularly read the Dnyaneshwari, which is about almost 9,000 couplets, OV we call it. So it's and they do it for 3 days, 7 days. They divide the entire text in 3 days or 7 days and try to complete it at Alandi. So education along with this travel, both were on the agenda of Gnandev's philosophy. He also gave importance to meditation because he gave them beads. And along with beads, the moment the Varkari Sampradaya people did put the beads on, they became conscious of giving up concepts like alcohol. And so overall it was a very non-forcible but a character building sort of a school of thought, and which was initiated, introduced and promoted, or I should say he was the founder of Varkari Sampradaya. And then they called him Mauli. Mauli is a mother. He gained their loyalties. He was called Mauli by everyone. Mauli is a mother. So Varkari Sampradaya is a proof where Jnandev has transformed a pilgrim center into a divine knowledge center. Now, what does divine knowledge mean? Means that sort of a knowledge which is going to help a man to become Brahma himself. That knowledge is so, it is so said that if you acquire this knowledge of the soul, the spirit, then man becomes the Dneya, the subject of knowledge himself. The second thing was, he set man free from sorrows. That is, he liberated them. Third, he gave them the art of separating spirit from matter. Then, did this school of thought of Jnandev give rise to other schools of thoughts? Yes, they did. They gave rise to school of thoughts such as Kirtankars. Yes, people got into singing various bhajans and then tried to promote the subject of philosophy through bhajans and combination of bhajan as well as a talk. So Kirtankars came up, yogis came up, philosophers came up. All these can be traced today. Modern sciences of Reiki and all are traced back to Kundalini Yoga. They came up, and so it was a thought which gave birth to new thoughts, new schools of thoughts. So Jnandev's works or approach to his own philosophy was just not, it did not end with the concept of mere devotion and rushing to the temples. No, it was far more systematically designed. Today we can trace quite a few thoughts or laws of today. You call it laws of creation, or you call it the modern concepts of certain laws, which can be traced back to Jnandev. So let's see, there was a law of divine oneness. Yes. Now it states that everything remains connected. Yes, just as I gave the example of how if there are forests, fire forests in California, forest fires in California, we feel hurt about it because we are connected. Man is connected. If there is earthquakes in Indonesia, we feel bad about it. Because we are all connected, irrelevant of caste, creed, community. We feel sad. That's because we are connected. Similarly, the entire Varkari Sampradaya, the moment they left from Alandi up to Pandharpur, when they walked together, it became sort of a family. They got connected. So this law of divine oneness, actually that's the concept. He wanted to lead mankind to Advaita state. Advaita is no duality at all. This law of divine oneness is actually Advaita Tattvajnana. Then there were law of vibrations. He believed that everything moved, vibrated, then and it created circular patterns. So somehow things went round and round and round and round and came back to the same point. So these were similar to these vibrating things. Thoughts also, they go round. You pass a thought and it somehow seems to come back to you again. So it's he knew that the thought also had a vibrational frequency. Words like you have the sound waves and the thought waves, they do travel. Thoughts do travel. They vibrate. You have law of action. So everything needs action for things to be manifested. Man needs to act. It's not enough just to think, but multiple times, if one thought is thought about, it turns into an action. Multiple action becomes a habit. A multiple habit becomes a character. Character becomes a nature, and nature becomes a destiny. So to have a destiny made of the world, you have to start somewhere with a thought and the repetition of the same thought. Then there was also another law which we can trace. These actually, they can be traced to Jnandev's basic, what should I say, text, Sangdev Pasashti, Amrutanubhav, Dnyaneshwara and Haripat. Then you have the law of cause and effect, that nothing happens by chance. Now the great people like Sri Krishna had highlighted their appearance, manifestation on earth. They said we have come here to support the right and seize the wrong. That was the concept, that there was some aim in their coming. They knew what they are here on earth for. Jnandev also, almost at the age of 21, he told his elder brother and guru that I have finished my work and now I would like to part. So knowing, how many of us know what we are here on earth for? Here was a young boy of 19, 20. He knew about it. Then there was a law of compensation, that is effects. Let's say you get in the form of fruits. So very beautifully, Jnandev in his prayer says to God, now that I have translated your works of Bhagavad Gita for a common man into simplified Marathi of those times, Prakrit Marathi, I want, and if you are pleased by that, I want a boon. So he asks for a boon, but it's the boon he asks is welfare of mankind. It's a very beautiful concept. Then you have the law of attraction, that thoughts create energies which attract the like energies. The positive thoughts they attract positive thinking, and the negative destroys. Negative destroys. Negative thoughts destroy. So the positive thoughts is what these saints promoted, and they were thoughts of welfare of mankind, and therefore they gathered people who are. And how many of us don't want welfare? We all want happiness for our younger generation. We need them to have a good, sound, clean society. I would love my grandson to grow up in a society which is free from all terrorism and corruption and all, and he should get a beautiful life to enjoy. Well, similarly, so there was this law of attraction was regarding the thoughts, and that if I send a thought of kindness or love to somebody, then people also they also respond to it with love. If you think of sending a negative thought, it destroys everything which is on the way and hardly reaches, but if at all it reaches, it also destroys the person in front. He's thinking. So it's a very law of attraction is there. Then you have the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Now, the human beings have the power to change the conditions of our times. Just by good thinking, we can change. Yes, most of these saints, they have changed. You take Christ's last words that, all right, forgive them for they know not what they do. Yeah, this was a remarkable thought. It creation an entire religion. It has given birth to an entire religion. Similarly, Vivekananda's words, brothers at Chicago, it gave him an outstanding life, long lasting appreciation as a philosopher in the world. So you look at these words, these thoughts, they have the power to entirely change humanity. Then you have there is a law of relativity that is it may be definitely differing from all these theories and all which are there, which are known. I'm just trying to see whether the modern concepts which are picked up, they could be traced. So were our spiritual masters, they were scientists of spiritual world, let's say, but they definitely had a result oriented thinking, a result oriented thinking, and the results were like everlasting. So you have these, that if you are facing a challenge, dealing with a situation, then the person in front also must be having his own challenge. So this gave rise to tremendous compassion in saints. Then there is law of polarity, they say, that if there is hate in the world, let's try to feed love. They use the opposite of hate so that we can make the situation more soothing. Then there was law of rhythm, and then there was law of gender. So these were traced back to all these texts. You can find these. So he was also a great scientist. And finally, Jnandev also finally in the end through samadhi made two laws very clear, that nothing is perishable. So his body also did not perish. It got transformed when his soul parted from his body. So because air doesn't perish, water doesn't perish, light doesn't perish, it gets transformed, energy gets transformed, energy doesn't perish, and we are made of all these. So therefore humanity doesn't have to perish, it has to continue. World should not perish, it should be transformed. So this was, luckily I had the opportunity of presenting it at MIT, the second paper. And Jnandev's, the first paper I have already put up, where he had sent a message of world as one family, having one world government and having one world anthem. And now we are talking about one world, one God. Now, what was his God? Let's just take a little look into his concept of God. Yes, his God Vithala at Pandharpur. He was Achala. Achala means he did not move, but he created movements like Varkari Sampradaya. There were movements in the world which was created by just his Vitthal standing at one point. He never spoke, but he created speakers like us. He never wrote, but he has great thinkers who have written texts and texts and texts after it. He did not sing, but there were musicians who sing all his concerts. So we probably, so this is the God Jnandev is talking about, a God who knew the world and everything, who dwelled in the world, yes, and imparted the knowledge which changed man from mortal to immortal. And this is Swami Radhikananda. This was my second paper at World Parliament of Dr. Vishwanath Karad, and he's done a remarkable I wouldn't say job, but it's grand. World Parliament 2018 turned out to be a success. I'm glad I was a part and parcel of this program. Thank you. I'm Swami Radhikananda from Pune.